Hello, everyone. Welcome back to DJ and the Zooms. I am Jay, and today we are joined by my friend Brianda. Hi.
Hi.
I mentioned that I didn't know exactly what I would be doing during the break. I'm still trying to decide and think of different things because we have 3 months to go through. But I thought one nice thing that we could do is shed some light on a few different sides of Formula One fandoms. And my idea was to ask my friends how they got to Formula One and how they've been living their fandom. Brianda, thank you for joining us. You're the very first person to participate in this. So
Great.
thank you very much.
Great. No pressure. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to share different stories, and we know each other from this wonderful group chat that I don't even remember how it started, but there's a few of us from around the world, and it's been so fun to share.
Yeah, I remember the very first time I heard about because this is the second group chat that we're a part
Mhm.
of. The very
Right.
first time I heard about it was on Threads. Someone posted, "Who wants to join?" And I said, "Me? Why not?" And then that's how we got to meet each other. And I really like how civilized and respectful our group is. So it's been a really nice experience.
Yeah, it definitely has. Who knew that women getting along through sports and like that it can happen and we can like all sides of it and it's okay and we can be cordial to each other as well.
Exactly. See, I'm not you. I don't usually follow sports. This is the first time for me that I really get interested in a sport. Right away, one of the most important parts and the things that I liked the most was the community that you find through it that I really didn't expect. It's a really new experience for me.
Yeah, same for me. I grew up loving, all American sports from the NFL to the Major League Baseball. And I've never had anything other than like a friend or two here and there of like actual women getting together to like love sports together or that just general community. And maybe something just like social media has developed over time. And so now there's more access to it. But this is the first time where I've seen a community this large, women and all in between, and it's so fun just to have this like little niche corner in social media to enjoy this amazing sport together.
It definitely is. And I guess if you've been following American sports, it's the first
Mhm.
time that you get this international and worldwide community as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I mean, I love to travel. And it was a few years ago when I first realized, how, sometimes we think we're a little bit of the center of the world in America, and we definitely are not. And people did not know, like who Tom Brady was. And I'm like, how do you not know he's the biggest NFL star? And so getting into something that is more worldwide, but getting to experience like different cultures, like I've learned so much just about the world in general through F1, just from the like locations and like learning cultures through like where each race is at, but also through like the fans. It's been amazing. I think it's through the races, like the locations of the races and like
Mm,
because they do feature so much of like the local cultures, but also just through like social media learning from people's perspectives from different parts of the world.
yeah, something that I caught on. I do know who Tom Brady is. I'm proud
Right.
of it because I watch a lot of true crime, and one of the true crime podcasters that I listen to is a huge fan of Tom Brady. So,
Yeah.
but I would say that I do think culturally the US has been kind of the center of the world because so much of the culture is exported and we experience a lot
Right.
of it.
I mean, it's from media side definitely, so I can see that.
Yeah, I do agree with you on that. So how did you get to start watching F1?
It's actually really funny because I tried to avoid it because, in my neurodivergence, I just cannot do anything like halfway. I knew I was going to be 110%. And my dad and my sister started supporting Checo. I'm of Mexican heritage, just supporting Checo through a couple of years ago. They went to Austin race and I was like, I don't want to get into it because I know I cannot just do something halfway. And then my friend invited me to watch the first Vegas race and, delirious in the middle of the night watching this race and the glitz and the glamour and these like beautiful men and like these fast cars. And I'm like, this is amazing. Yes, please. And so I went into Drive to Survive just to get like a little bit of background, just to get a little bit of understanding of kind of where the story started. But here I am a couple years later,
Mm-hmm.
110% in, just like I thought I would be. But it's been wonderful. And I know so much more about aerodynamics and tires and, the layout of tracks that I never thought I would get into, but it's so fun, along with the community and everything. It's been wonderful.
So your first race that you ever watched was the first Vegas Grand Prix? Okay,
Yes.
yeah, I guess that's a lot of spectacle to start
Yeah.
with.
Hmm.
I mentioned it actually in last episode. I don't have a very good memory of that race
Yeah.
because of what happened at the
Yep.
very
Yep.
beginning of it. But
Yeah.
yeah, that must have been because my first race was also in 2023, but it was Baku, which was
Mm.
the most boring race in the history of the sport. So it took a few races for me to really start enjoying watching it
Yeah.
because not much was happening at the time.
Yeah, and it definitely, after starting with Vegas, I think it's took some used to like getting used to like that's not the norm,
Hmm.
but it's still, has an exciting. I remember I was a little late starting into the 2024 season. I can't remember what year we're in. 2024 season was maybe two races in was Miami, obviously Lando winning, and I'm like yes, yes, I definitely in love with the sport, and it's kind of like those fans that after the F1 movie was like the first race was like Brazil or something,
Hmm.
and you're like so lucky to start loving the sport in like such a spectacle like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Vegas was a great hook, but I've learned to love even the boring ones.
Of course. And sometimes it also, it's a nice kind of break from all the
Mhm.
chaos and the drama to be
Yeah.
able to enjoy a race where not much happens.
I think sometimes when people call them the boring races is because they are waiting for those F1 movie moments of like the big crash or whatever. But sometimes it's just strategy and just watching, waiting for the pit stops and all that stuff. And if you're not into necessarily that strategy side of it, yeah, it can definitely be a bit boring. But sitting there waiting for who's going to pit and what are they going to choose and tires and all that makes it a little bit more exciting when you're paying attention to those little things.
Yeah, and it does give you more time when not much else is happening to
Hmm.
refocus on that and understand more the impact that
Yeah.
a different tire or a different strategy can have.
Yeah.
But I guess if you support a team that's more at the back of the grid, if nothing dramatic happens, then nothing good is going to happen for your team. So I suppose it's not as entertaining as well.
And I think it just makes it when you do pay attention to those things, you realize how much it is a team sport because, the drivers are obviously the ones that are down there doing the work on the track, but how much these strategies make a difference. And you do start to realize how many other people are important in the races than just the drivers.
Exactly. Be it the mechanics, the teams, the pit stops, the strategists, the everything. It does make you realize how many people, yeah, just like you said, are involved in the success of a team,
Right.
even if you can see only one or two drivers on the track. Would you say that's what you prefer about the sport, the strategy side?
It's one of them. I think there's so many facets of it that I think that is enjoyable. And, as women, like female fans, we get so much criticism or whatever because, oh, you'll only like them because they're handsome. And yeah, yes, I can like it because they're handsome. And I can love it because I am waiting to see what Alexandra's wearing next week. And I can also like it because I'm wondering what tire they're going to go on and, what changes they made to the wing this week and all this stuff. So I think that's the fun part is just we can like it for so many different aspects of it. And I think a difference from like bigger team sports is there's such a human side to F1 that you can see because it's like more individuals and you aren't focusing on 50 players on the field and like maybe you like a couple of them and you know a little bit about them, but you have these two drivers or three drivers that you're mostly focused on, or actually just 20, right? Just knowing about all 20 drivers, you can know so much about each one of them and seeing their human side out in the car and outside the car. That makes it just so much fun. And so I guess you can relate more because you learn so much more about them versus just being one of 50 or whatever.
Absolutely. That's also something that I like to point out and kind of spend time on is how mental state can impact the performance of a driver. It's very interesting how you can really get into that in Formula One
Hmm.
because there's a lot of communication around it. I don't know if
Absolutely.
that's also something that happens in other sports where in Formula One they have an interview before the race, they have an interview after the race, and then you have also press conferences and they talk a lot, a lot, a lot. And each driver talks about their own perspective of the
Hmm.
sport, the race, the team, etc.
Yeah, and you're right. And I think there's some sports that are starting to get a little bit more into it. Like I know in basketball here, they're doing a lot more like courtside interviewing and stuff like that. But that is something that was never heard of before. You did, the press conference after games, and they're usually very PR, very snippets of responses, but nothing as in depth as you do get in F1 for sure. But I think the just mental state of it, I think, is one of the things that attracts maybe even females to the sport because we are interested in what people are thinking and like the more human side of it and being open with what you're thinking. And I think that's why Lando himself has so many female fans because he has been so transparent. And it's like, newsflash men, women like to hear vulnerability.
Exactly.
And we want to hear what you're thinking and that it's okay to not be perfect and it's okay to not be the best and it's okay to acknowledge who the best is and that you're trying to get there, but it's okay to be like, hey, he's the best and I can be the best too. And it's all right. You don't have to be the like everybody else is trash and I'm good, you know.
Yeah, it's not necessary to be ruthless and cutthroat. And also, this is something that resonates a lot with me is in everything that I've ever liked, and it's usually so far it's been a lot of cinema and TV shows, etc. And the way that I
Yeah.
get into it is by getting attached to the characters. And I think this is also why I love F1 so much. It's because you can get attached to the people that are in it because they get so much exposure.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's so much access to the drivers, the team principals, and some strategists, and they all have their own social medias as well, that you do get so much access to just them as a person. And I think that, it kind of marries, my love of like, reality TV and sports, and you
Yeah.
kind of get sides of it. I think the best part, yes, as a Drive to Survive fan, is having unlearned some of the things that I learned through Drive to Survive,
Hmm.
having been exposed to the more human side and like, their social medias or their YouTube channels. Esteban Ocon is a huge example of that. Like the picture that gets painted to Drive to Survive is such just like him being such a menace or just being so rude or whatever. This year, especially, he's the cuddliest person. Like he's so sweet. And I love seeing like his YouTube channel and just getting to know a better side of him. But he's just one example of all of them, right? That you get to learn who they truly are versus like sometimes what's depicted of them.
Exactly. Something that I wanted to come back on because you said you talked about Vegas. Have you ever been to a race in person?
Yes and no. I've been to a Saturday in Austin,
Okay.
and then I was at Zandvoort this year on a Saturday as well.
Oh, how come? Because I guess Austin isn't that far from you.
No, it is not too far for me. So I got to go. That was a last minute thing where my cousin had an extra ticket, and like the night before, she's like, "Hey, my brother can't go tomorrow. Can you come drive down?" Absolutely, I will be there. So that was my first time getting to see the rooms in person. It was amazing. It's also like a double treat in Austin, and well, when you have a sprint,
Oh yeah.
because you get to see sprint in the morning and you get to see quality in the afternoon. So that was super fun. Danvort was we were on a trip in Amsterdam, and I got to pick one day to sacrifice of like cultural sightseeing, and we went on Saturday. It was just a little bit cheaper, but I got to be in the grandstand in front of the pits, which is super fun. Thank God I wasn't there on Sunday, though, because I did not need to see Lando and Charles on a mound. So
Mm-hmm.
I got to see that actually in a bar in Amsterdam. But
Okay.
yeah, I've been to those 2 Saturdays. Still, hopefully planning an actual race day in person in the future.
Yeah. I wanted to come back on this because talking about community, etc. I think it's such a different atmosphere to be at a race surrounded by fans of the sport because usually we tend to stay, I don't know if you do this, but I do definitely. I kind of stay surrounded by people who like Lando because I love Lando and I love talking about him. So I surround myself with people who love talking about him. You experience on the internet a lot of negativity around
Hmm.
it. But going to a race and being surrounded by people who do not like particularly your driver, but are still polite and kind and helpful really puts the whole thing in perspective.
Absolutely. I think that is a really big thing about just the F1 general community that's so different from other sports. Everybody's so polite. My sister made a comment when we were there at Zandvoort because obviously we're surrounded by a bunch of Max fans. And then watching is Oscar was on pole, I believe.
So, yeah.
I think so. But like, quali ends and everybody's just like golf clap, like just so polite. People are so nice here. And I'm like, it is. It's so fun to just be surrounded by people. And unfortunately, keyboard warriors, right? Because you're hiding behind a screen and you can say whatever you want. You think you can say whatever you want. But in person, obviously, we're a lot more supportive. But it's just fun. And, I'm a Lando fan as well. You and I have bonded over this. I'm also a Carlos and Charles fan. I'm a child of divorce there. Wear 3 different colors. But, yeah, I think it's okay though. Learning that it's okay to like different things and you don't have to shame each other. And it is the nicest of communities because coming from different American sports, it is ruthless out there between teams and, there's a significant rivalry when it comes to and there's a history behind it of those rivalries as well. Where like in F1, because there's been so many team changes, been driver changes, those rivalries might go back for certain periods of time
Mhm.
versus like, the NFL starting in 1960, where those rivalries go deep and like generational.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that is like in football and Europe and stuff
Yeah.
that, that doesn't necessarily isn't that as long extended. So I feel like it blows over. Like how quickly have people come back around on Max just a year and a half later,
Yeah.
Like, I love Max too. Like, it's one of those
Yes.
things like, like, I don't have to be his fan, but I can respect him. And like going full circle back to Tom Brady, that's been a thing growing up as well, is that I've always been like, you don't have to like him, but you can respect what his legacy is. And like, same with Max. Like, I can respect what an amazing driver and person he is. I don't have to hate on that. And that's okay.
Exactly. Yeah. And also, I think when you're paying hundreds and hundreds of euros or dollars to get
Mhm.
to the race, I suppose you kind of have a different sort of feeling towards ruining the experience for yourself and others.
Yeah, for sure. I will say I was taking a picture in the grandstand during, I think, FP3, and I did have a Max fan tell me to sit down with my Lando shirt, but it was okay.
What?
I'm like, you're not missing anything. It's FP3.
Exactly. And no,
Okay.
I remember when I went to Monaco on the Sunday, we were in the general admissions. And so you're on the side of the mountain and you sort of
Mhm,
have to climb up, down, anywhere to find a place to sit.
mhm,
And we got there pretty early, but we had to climb down in the sort of dirt
mhm,
to find a place to sit. We were helped by Ferrari fans because obviously Monaco is so close to Italy. There's a
mhm.
lot of Ferrari fans. And the guy was holding my hand to make sure that I didn't fall back and die. Um, and then he looked at me and he went, "Oh, McLaren. Oh, no, I'm not helping you then." And then he looks at, because I had a McLaren cap on, and then he
Mhm,
looks at my bag that says "Hot Girls Support Lando Norris," and he said, "Oh,
mhm.
Norris. Oh, that's fine then." And I went, "Wait, fine if it's Lando, but not Oscar."
It
The
was just McLaren specific, right?
Yeah. But obviously it was a joke and
Yeah.
they were a laugh whole day. We had a great time. It was really funny because we were sort of in the middle. I was with a friend who's also a Ferrari fan and she
Mhm.
was on my left. And so on my left, I had all these Ferrari fans. And on my right, I had a whole bunch of Checo fans. So it was really like Ferrari on one side and Red Bull on the
Mhm.
other. And me with my
Yep.
McLaren shirt in the middle going,
Yay.
and we saw Charles win at that point. So
Yeah.
it was
That's
a lot of
fantastic.
fun.
That's an amazing race to have been at. I'm so glad that you were there. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was so incredible. I'm really happy that I was there to see it. Unfortunately, I
Uh-huh.
couldn't be there this year. I couldn't see Lando in Monaco, but
Yeah.
I was in Silverstone, so
Oh,
still
that's
great.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're picking great ones.
Yeah, or maybe I'm their lucky
Maybe
charm.
you're the good luck. There you
Yeah.
go.
Mm.
That makes sense.
Okay, well, I think is there anything else that you wanted to talk about?
No, I'm just super grateful for this little, group chat that we have going on and getting to meet you and all the other girls. And hopefully we'll get to hear a little bit about their stories as well.
Hopefully, yes.
But it's, I'm so grateful. Obviously, being in the US, there's not a whole lot of F1 fans. Luckily, my city has started a chapter of like an F1 watch, parties and stuff like that, which is great. It's a little hard to get, to a bar at 6 a.m., but we've built a pretty good community started by a female fan. So, very proud of that. And, we have bracelet charm making classes and pottery classes and like, they just did their big Christmas party. Couldn't make it because my work party, but not having a whole lot of F1 fans around me, I'm so grateful for this group chat and for all of you.
I love that. That's so cool. I
Yeah,
wish there were more group things to be done around here. It would be a lot of fun. And yeah, I agree with you. The group chat is really great. And community is always cool to find.
it is absolutely.
Well, thank you very much
Thank
for
you for
joining
having
me.
me. Yeah, of course.
And thank you everyone for listening until the end. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, share the videos and the posts. And I will see you next time. Bye bye.